Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spin Rack. I'm here with my boy Petey. Say what is up, Petey?
What's going on?
Hey, today we're going to be discussing Petey, you have a better way of putting it down. Let's hear what you got to say.
Well, in our growing up, we are not officially part of hip hop culture, but we are the audience. We were the audience to the early stages of hip hop, and we watched it. Now it is known as a culture, and at the same time, people would look at this culture and they would complain about Hot 97 and the radio and the media and all this other stuff. And oh, now with the thing that artists are moving to movies and TV and other outlets like podcasts, they're taking the culture and furthering it on, connecting with people and making it even bigger. But at the same time, we have, shows like NPR has a great podcast. There's many great podcasts out there, but the biggest ones now is all right, hold on. Don't go anywhere. So with these, we have the biggest ones are like Drink Champs right now with Nori and DJ EFN, and there's also the In My Expert Opinion podcast with Matt Hoffa and his crew of very talented interviewers. But as they go along, what? Joe Budden, of course. Well, Joe Budden is more like he's the personality of his. I can't. In my opinion, Joe Budden's been doing internet stuff since the internet started, since YouTube was out, and he did a lot of great stuff. But it was more about him. So it wasn't about the culture. It was about, and which he's a personality. Any personality should find a way to make money off of that. So I don't think I look at him as doing like a historical podcast like Flip the Script and stuff like that, which is another popular one, but they also do a lot of gangster stuff. But as these guys are going on, they are becoming bigger than the actual culture. And then when at the same time, the same thing that happened to Hot 97, where Hot 97 was bringing in old school artists, they had like Marley doing the show. They had all these people bringing in there. Anyone could come on there from classic artists from the real golden era, which is 70s and 80s. When the golden era now is the 90s for some strange reason, but because some people said, "Huh," like that sort of thing. They want to. I don't like the Knicks. Everywhere we go, this is my ultimate point in doing this public service announcement. Anytime we get to hip hop, everyone's trying to figure a way to complain about stuff. Like on my expert opinion, DJ Clark Kent said hip hop changed with Rakim. It didn't actually change with Rakim. He just was one of the best artists that came out around 85. But you had G-Rap was out then. You had so many people. You had Just Ice, LL. You had so many people. Slick Rick was already out there before then. So you had so many talents, but it's changing. It's taking hip hop and it's making it into, let's not talk about the old guys because they're old and played out like we felt they were in the 80s, which I secretly in my mind, I didn't let things get played out. I just always wanted to get it on tape. And every time someone would hear an old song, they're like, oh, that's played out. And it's like, no, I don't have it. So I need it on my tapes. So that's the way it is. But ultimately now we have a situation where what's the name? Fat Joe and one of his former artists that was on his label, Cuban Link, now have had this beef that's going on since Big Pun died. We had this thing that's been going on for a long time between the two of them. It's not a thing where Cuban's holding on. It's a thing where Joe is holding the beef and Cuban is also talking about it too. And this also leads to the past between Pun and Fat Joe and Pun's family and Fat Joe. And that thing has been dealt with legally. But on the podcast, no one's really calling Joe to task about the things that happened with Pun's family and or with Cuban.
Wait, hold on. You're going on here. So we're first saying Cuban Link, and then you move on to Joe's family.
Oh, Pun's family? Yeah, I did add that in there. They're going to come into there.
let's just stick to the one before we go to the other. Okay, guys.
Okay.
All right, because I think what happened with Pun's family is apparent. But what's up with Cuban Link? Let's
Well,
break this
Cuban
down.
and Link and Fat Joe got into a fight, right? They got into a fight way back in the day. It wasn't Cuban said that Fat Joe didn't want him as an artist anymore, so he was like, okay, and he dropped them, and they went to Atlantic. But then the album never got to come out. People heard some songs of it. They wanted it has had collabos that people wanted to hear, but somehow it never happened. And then they had this moment where they had a fight, Cuban tells the story of Joe hitting him hitting the floor, him getting it up, him, putting hands on Joe, him getting cut, them almost getting no fight later. And then them not having a peace, but at the same time, I think at that last point, Joe did say he didn't mean for him to get cut. That's not what he wanted him to get cut. So that was the last thing they really had publicly together. And ultimately, Cuban has just been on basically trying to do music on his own and doing podcasts. So he's been kind of
How did we find out about Cuban's point of view? Was he on Nori's podcast?
nope.
That's how you started off.
He was on a bunch. He's on this one that's called Panda Chop. Recently, he was on Flip the Script. He's done a bunch of different interviews with different people. I think it's on MREC. I think he's been on MREC too, and on possibly on Doggy Diamonds. I'd have to look that up, but I think he's on Doggy Diamonds. Those are some of the other podcasts that's out there. So now that we're here, we got you up to speed. No, that's a song. Okay, we cannot supposed to play that, but we're gonna get to what Nori recently said, because Nori's connected to Fat Joe.
So wait a
So
second. Wasn't Cuban Link a part of the Terror Squad?
exactly, yes.
Right. I mean, wasn't he down with Fat Joe, or was he down with Big Pun?
He was down more with Big Pun, but at the same time, hold on, let's get out of this thing.
So they've been held in bridge for almost 20 years then.
Yeah. So basically, they, Pun and Cuban Link were together when they saw Fat Joe in the Bronx. So they basically went up to Joe and freestyle. It was more Pun than Cuban Link, and I think, Pun freestyle. I think Cuban did also. Joe said that, hey, I just want, I want Big Pun, but what's the name? Cuban, Fat Pun kept asking Cuban to come out. So one of the first shows he did, he was about to come out, and Fat Joe was like, "Why are you here?" And then he's about to go home, and then Pun said, "No," he said, "It's okay now. It's okay." So he was kind of just being his roadie, and he got like a couple dollars. And ultimately, one of the tricks that a Big Pun did was Big Pun actually put Cuban on a song with the Beat Nuts off the books. So he slipped them in there. So he did it like a feature. So and the hard part is that he followed Big Pun, and Big Pun did a classic rhyme, and somehow Cuban followed, and it got buzzed too. So then Fat Joe wanted both of them, and the Terror Squad saw. I mean, they were, I guess, I think that's when Fat Joe was kind of with it, but these guys are kind of already kind of Terror Squad. So Terror Squad became this big thing, and then we lost Pun, and then that's when it all kind of fell apart. So.
Or between Cuban Link and thing. But wait, let's bring it up more to a more recent time. Isn't it? I think didn't Cuban Link question Joe's street cred or say he was like a snitch or something years ago?
No, it was recent. Recently, he said that he got information from someone and it seemed factual. So he put it out there that this person said he had paperwork. And then, of course, that seemed like it wasn't real paperwork. So basically, a lot of people called Cuban into question. So that's the first time Cuban had done something where people felt he was the problem. So they were like, I mean, no one was really on his side, but then with the paperwork thing, they were kind of like, "Oh, see, Cuban is not the real one." Joe's a real one. Oh no, you got the book. Look, you got the book of Jose. You go, so we know where this is going. We go. I
So,
was trying to talk about bias, but look at this guy. He's got the book of
so
Jose.
I'm saying, is it the fact that he's come out and now he's trying to sabotage him?
No, no, that's the thing. He didn't. He's done his interviews, but he didn't move on. But if people asked him about it, he would talk about it. That this book is coming from. This book is coming recently. When the paperwork happened, it was a little ways before this, so it wasn't connected where he was trying to bring the paperwork when the book was happening. I just recently found out that he was doing all that. But hey, you can draw your conclusions. You can draw your conclusions,
All
right?
right, as you were saying.
So, so basically, I guess I can't play this for too long because it's gonna get bounced. So I can just give you a quick, have him following, and I'm gonna stop it as quick as I can before we get in trouble. But see this? Here we go.
Classic.
I can't get it. Here it is. There we go. So there we go. You got Cuban there. Let's get out of that. Right? So he somehow followed Pun and survived the song, had some buzz, and then next thing you know, we go into the Panda. It's called Panda Chop. They've been doing a lot of interviews with Cuban. They've been asking people questions. They've been answering questions on their site. Obviously, there's a chance I'm gonna have to chop that song, but we'll see what stays. So here it is. This is Panda Chop. They put it all together so you can get it all into one place, right? And here we go.
A lot of people have seen the Drink Champs interview with Fat Joe where he briefly spoke about Cuban Link and wondered why Cuban Link has never been on Drink Champs. In this recent clip, Nori finally addresses why he can never interview Cuban. Man, roll the clip.
With no disrespect, like I could never, ever even think about interviewing Cuban Link, right?
Right.
Because of my relationship with Fat Joe. Right. It's no disrespect to him. I have no beef. I have no quarrel. But I'm with Joe. It's just simple. And I, on another note, I can't interview Reek because of the same thing.
I don't know.
My relationship with Busta is too crazy. He's told me. So in that situation, if I was to have either of those two brothers on, I would be wrong.
Right.
But that's personal.
Right.
Wrong as a friend. As media, really.
As media.
He's gonna say some stuff that Mars isn't gonna want to hear. So let's get to this guy, Math Hoffa.
Math Hoffa also shared the same sentiment, stating as much as he loved Cuban's music back in the days, he couldn't be affiliated.
For me, there are certain things that like, okay, my moral standard couldn't allow somebody who presented fake paperwork on someone to come on the platform. Just reckless. And if you came on a platform and you said something reckless, like I would be responsible for that because I already saw it.
No, give me some.
Cuban, Pun, like I love those guys back in the days, but when you see certain things, it's like you gotta, damn, bro,
so to
I wish you never did that, because now it's like.
So y'all let me know what y'all.
All right, so this is a great podcast. They have many clips. They interviewed Cuban, so you can go to their site and listen to all of his. He's a very fun interview. He's got a lot of energy. He's also, I think some of his songs that he's been doing, which the bars are still there. It's crazy. So, but that's what I'm about.
But hold on a second. Let's get back. So, I mean, has he been banned from the industry?
He's been blackballed. His album is on the shelf that he made after the Terror Squad. That's not coming out. He's got some music. We'll see how far that goes. But they're playing it. It sounds pretty good. It's like, got one song that has a lot of Tupac in it, but, we'll see if he can catch a buzz through the internet. But ultimately, the hard part is with Nori, this is a platform for an artist. His show, my expert opinion, these are platforms for hip hop artists to make it. And if they're saying no, and obviously he already got, he has no, he had a friendship with Angie Martinez. Now he doesn't, and he didn't even have any beef with her. So just because of Joe, so he can't get on Hot 97. So there's only the luck of the draw if he gets a buzz off of the internet. But as of right now,
a lot of artists did it big without being on Hot 97. You got all those Southern rappers who came out.
A lot of people don't though. At the same time, it's not a sure thing that you just put your music on the internet and you blow up.
Good point. Good point.
But I'm just saying, my feelings on this is that
he has to put him on.
No, he doesn't. You don't have to put anybody on.
That's right, because it's his
What's
show.
Name? But I'm saying to you like this: Nori came. Let's put the picture up of these guys, right? I'm not asking. I don't expect anything from who's that guy? Oh, I got the picture up still. I don't expect anything from who's that guy? I don't expect anything from Joe Buttons. Joe Buttons is a personality. He can do whatever he wants. He's done everything. Obviously, he lets you know his podcast is about what he's interested in.
Yes.
Nori is about, he said his podcast is about giving the artists flowers when they can smell them, right? Okay. This thing about giving them their flowers, right? Because all of the new artists, they're getting their accolades, but the older artists, he also talks about artists getting a pension, all that. And he also would talk about, is there a thing called Blackballed? Because he himself said he went through that because of the shootings at Hot 97 and not being able to get on the radio anymore or go to the radio station for a while, right? So when he initially came out, it was about hip hop, and I'm all for that. But anytime you see something for the culture, it kind of changes, because Hot 97 was for the culture, and then it became exclusionary, listening to whatever, like Jay-Z said, to keep people out. Like they wouldn't play Nas's Stillmatic, Freestyle, or Ether. They had to be forced into it. So it's like you had this thing that's supposed to be home of hip hop culture, and they exclude stuff, which I am not for at all. Like back in the day, you have beef, but still BLS plays The Bridge Is Over. Well, Red Alert never played Duck Alert, hit the insult thing, but you know, I get it. But so he said it was for the flowers, right? So soon after that, he had Kanye on there because he's being there for Kanye. He said, "Hey, I'm a journalist. I'm gonna put I'm doing this journalism." He had Kanye on. He didn't accept it as, "Hey, I just asked him questions. He said all the craziness. It's not me. Go attack him." He apologized for everything Kanye said, when he could have easily, as a friend, edited out all the stuff that would get him in trouble. Because he said regular party stuff, talked about girls, that sort of thing. They could have edited out. They don't like to edit, but then he went.
Why?
What?
I mean, he said it. He must have gotten his permission to say it, so he's like, "Yo, put it out."
He apologized for it. That's not journalism. Outside of you, if he says something,
look, he's not a journalism. He's an opinion guy. Okay, and the fact of the matter is, it's his show. He's close.
I am not finished.
At least he's honest.
I am not finished.
I got to interject a little bit.
I'm not finished yet. I'm just saying my 3 points. You're saying your artists need their flowers. That's what he said his platform was. Then he said he was a journalist. And now he's saying, I have to side with my people, right? When he's already said, when he's shown that he could be friends with Fat Joe and, not Fat Joe, with Ja Rule and 50 Cent separately, right? He can have people from G Unit and he can have Ja Rule on there, right? And they can talk about their thing. And the point that he wanted them to bring up their own issues, right? So sorry to cut you off. I just want to say that it's hip hop. They immediately turned into Hot 97, where Hot 97 was a environment for all hip hop, and now it's for whatever was popular, whatever's making its money. And that's what these guys have become. Math Hoffa has to do what he was doing, right? He's trying to make it, but he ran into a recent with J Hood. This guy was with the Locks. He ran into where the Locks was very upset with what J Hood said. So it's like, but he was like, "Hey, I'm a podcaster. They just say what they say." And then someone else said, "Hey, you street guy, you shouldn't have had this guy on there." And he's like, he had, I think, who's that guy? Troy Ave. And the guy was saying, you should have had him on. You're a street guy. He said, no, I'm not. I'm a civilian. And now he's like, because his thing is, you can't have Cuban Link on because of whatever. Like, no, it's what you said. It is an opinion thing. Just say you're not going to do it. Just be, I mean, you can't be honest on these things. But I mean, in my opinion, I think that, I don't know. I think these artists, there's so many artists that had struggles trying to find their way, and Nori had the platform for it, but now Nori wants credit for the term giving someone their flowers when he didn't create that. He might have made it poppin', but I mean, it's like the hip hop thing to be like, oh, we took the herb thing from Burger King, but we made it poppin' type of thing. So, I don't know. What were you gonna say? What was your attack on me gonna be?
I didn't attack you, bro. All I said is just it's his show, and I think that people have the right to change their mind. He's not a journal. He may say he's a journalist, but he, of course, is suspect. We know what journalists are, and he's in the story because he's close to Fat Joe. I mean, was he? Is Noy an original member of Terror Squad? No, right? He's just affiliated.
He was a close friend of Pun's.
Right.
And that's led to the other thing to say what that it's hard to say, because once they started going at Cuban brought up that they were trying to get Pun's son a deal as a kid, like a Little Romeo type of thing, and they had something in play. The first thing they had to play, the only problem was that Benzino's son was in it.
Right.
And Eminem crushed any Benzino stuff. He just crushed it. So they couldn't do that, but they were going to do, hey, we're going to do a song. Nori, can you do a song with Pun's son? And he declined. So it's kind of like,
Right, but you see, that's him putting himself part of the story, and this is what I'm trying to say. If you're part of the story, then you're not a journalist, and he's close to Fat Joe, and so therefore Cuban Link. Cuban Link has other outlets, and I mean the whole thing that you're saying that he was blackballed. I'm not denying it. In those days, there's a lot of power, but it's been 20 years, right? It's been 20 years since the whole breakup, basically, and Big Pun just
almost
came out
20 years. Almost.
Big Pun. Fat Joe just came out with a book. Right? He was at the Apollo. He was really good. He had mad artists come out to stand up for him. Classic guys. Busta Rhymes was there. It was mad heads out there, and it's like people are going to be friends with who they're going to be with. Those two clearly didn't connect. They didn't connect, and him saying what he's saying, and that and I'm not validating nor am I denying what he says. What he feels is what he feels. I'm trying to say what happened to him. I got no problems with that. But the fact of the matter is that it's been 20 years. How many years are you going to say that whatchamacallit is oppressing him? I mean, Jesus.
Oh, that's the thing. The point of it, why I came here to say something about it now is that Cuban Link has said nothing about Nori or Math Hoffa. So why would you enter something that's been something Fat Joe has said on his own and something that Cuban has said on his own? So it's a beef that the two of them continue, but Fat Joe's success. So you say to the person who's not the success, why don't you just stop? When Fat Joe is saying he's still talking about Pun's family, right? So it's like they're not talking about him. He's still saying his narrative. So Joe says his narrative about Cuban. Cuban says, when they ask him, he's like, when people ask me, I tell them what happened. I tell them the fight. I tell them what happened, and that's what goes on. He's not going in there. And of course, this came up now, so it fueled them all again. But if Nori had not said anything, because I guess people have been asking.
It just came out.
People have been asking about Cuban because he has a bunch of other interviews. And the problem is that when there's people that are on, no, you're right. I keep going. It's his show. So if he has on, he likes, who's that guy? Irv Gotti. And if he has the guy who used to work with him, Mike Geronimo, he's on Irv's side, he's going to question Mike Geronimo, saying you should have just ran with Irv. He's going to do what his people, what close to what his people are. But he's also shown that, hey, if I have someone that talks reckless, I'm going to just let them talk. And that's what all these podcasters do. But, I think I think it's wrong for them to kind of just kick somebody while they're down. I don't think it's a thing where Cuban is going in and saying, he's not saying, well, he did respond to them, but at the same time, he was not kicking them, saying that they, he's not insulting them. And whereas they're kind of like, well, not Nori, but Nori shouldn't have said anything. He's in the power mode where he can just ignore him. He's not helping. So why not just stay out of it? You want to be neutral, don't say nothing about it.
I agree with you that. I mean, it is, I agree with you that, but clearly he felt he had to say something. He felt a certain way because he Fat Joe and stuff like that. I mean, look, you're gonna rock with who you're gonna rock with. He's not. Again, I go back to he's not like a full journalist. He's not like somebody we would see at night and watch the TV on. He's not. So.
Well, then that's the thing I'm saying. When you hear something is for the culture, that means it's either for free, or it could just in general just be some BS. Because
I don't think it's BS if it's going on this long and they're still bringing it up.
Well, not the two of them. I'm just saying like this content that people say is for the culture and this, that, and the other. I think you just have to watch yourself from becoming what led Nori to be not in the industry for a while, having to do reggaeton. Like you got to turn. You become Manimal Farm. You become someone who I was oppressed. I was struggling with the industry. Now you are the industry. You're the one who's picking, choosing, deciding who's in there. And that's my last bit to say that. It's like if you become Animal Farm and you're seeing it on television where you become Hot 97, that's the crime that I struggle with. Whereas they'll say the radio is this.
You just want a purity of thought. You basically are like, yo, if you're gonna have this platform and you're letting people on and you've done it in the past, let it rock. That's basically what you're saying. I'm saying he's a human being and he's fallible, and human beings, because of their fallibility, will go.
I don't want another Hot 97. We had podcasts and I get to hear different things. Yes, I have to go to different podcasts to get different information. But at the same time, if you have a favorite podcast and you have someone that's entertaining like Cuban, it would be funny to see him on that thing, on that podcast. It'd be funny to see him and let him say what he has to say on the other. Those are good. Like he was good on Flip the Script. He's entertaining and he's talented. Like the thing of it is that he had, he's next to two top guys in Fat Joe and Big Pun, and he still had his own, he had some ability, which is
he didn't, and they didn't give him the lane or space to break out. Like you say, he sounded pretty good, so his lyrics are there. It's just, he just never had the opportunity, and like you just said, that the possibility that he got blackballed, right? Let's call that. And so those are wasted years where he could have been letting things out, But didn't he get like some crazy contract at one point?
Yeah, he got a decent contract, and he made the album.
Somebody thought he could do it. So the question is, why didn't he?
Yeah.
It's not like someone closing down a venue. What's the name was saying? I remember Machine Gun Kelly was saying that Eminem had certain venues closed down for him because he had dissed him, and he's like, nah, this guy ain't working in these venues. And you're like, what? Mm-hmm. Eminem, Machine Gun Kelly is two different levels, bro. But clearly, people get called out and they don't really like being called out.
I don't want it to be totally altruistic. I just saying, I like the way NPR is. Just do the
NPR.
Yeah,
did you just say NPR?
But they have radio for hip hop. They had a hip hop podcast.
NPR, no. First of all, the politics there is wild. But number two is
they have Ali Shameed Muhammad doing a podcast on there. Like the thing of it is, the problem, like you had, who is it? I can't say that because Combat Jack had a podcast and it was very entertaining. But they did one of the I mean, they would do stuff for comedy. They would insult artists, and then they would back off from their insults, type of thing. So it's like, but they did it how people growing up would like hip hop, and that's kind of, I know that can leave you to start dissing artists, which I'm saying a lot of old school artists and older artists, it's too easy to be, to do that to them. But anyway, that's it. Let's close this out. Let Mario get some rest here.
Mars, bro.
Mars, get some rest.
Look, all I'm just saying is that it's his show. He can do what the hell he wants to do. Long story short. All right. So good luck with that with Nori, and do what
Good
you
luck
got.
with Nori. He don't need no luck.
Nori's mad success. Dude, the fact that his podcast is blown up so much, mad respect for him. Mad respect for Budden for blazing the trail, and mad respect for all those jumping on. I was just seeing something about something called Ghetto Kitchen or something like that out in the Bronx, where they review food from the Bronx. And I was like, yo, these guys all got. I mean, podcast has been around for a little bit, but the fact that you got guys like Budden and Drink Champs doing their business, I think is given, and seeing that there's money to be made has given a lot of people a space. And podcasting is a pretty low barrier to entry type of thing. So I mean, that to me I find impressive. Cuban Link needs to start his own podcast and start rocking it way. His reggaeton
I don't know. He's a better guest than a podcast. He's someone to be interviewed. So he's very, he is very hyper. It's to be someone that is, not as he's probably younger than me, but probably in his 40s and got the energy of a 20-year-old. He's some of those things hilarious. So I don't know if he has his, and he jumps around a lot. So he gets everything in it at once. So it's kind of, I don't know if he could just jump and start doing a podcast. And I think Nori did his journalism class in jail. So, he got a little something on his back to do that.
Well, that's good. And what about you? We keep forgetting there's somebody else also who hosts the show, right? DJ, what, EFN or something like that?
EFN, yes. We didn't, the thing of it, EFN.
Who's also Cuban, by the way.
There we go. Yes. EFN is, I think, no, well, because Cuban said that someone from the Drink Champs did call him up, and then he called back and said, "What's up with that? You guys want me to do the show?" And he's like, "Oh no, that's when first she's not with us anymore. It was just a contractor, and it was by mistake type of deal." So,
yeah, that's so wrong.
Yeah.
That is so wrong.
Oh, yeah,
they called him out, and then all of a sudden realized they made a mistake. Oh my God.
Fat Joe, they probably asked him, "Can we have him on the show?" And he's like, "No, you can't. Y'all do that.
Can't do that."
Fat Joe, Fat Joe.
Put a kibosh on that, bro. Put a kibosh on it. That's it.
Yeah, everyone, all these gangsters went to the podcast game. Fat Joe was doing one for a little while.
Fat Joe is mad entertaining when he talks, but I'm telling you,
I don't doubt it. Yeah.
That's the time. It's.
I'm a fan. I just don't. There's things that we can't escape as far as I don't know. He's
what happens? What happened to Cuban Link? They say you come after the king.
Oh,
see Fat Joe, what he did.
Wow.
So, again, not sure if it's real, if it's legit or not legit. The point is, I know Cuban Link feels it a particular way, but also Fat Joe feels a way, and so he feels that you're coming after the king, so he's doing what he has to do. Yeah.
All right, so I'm trying to say, for hip hop and for you don't want it just to be who's that guy? You want to give them the flowers. Don't just give the ones that I'm giving my friends the flowers.
Isn't that
no? It's about
you go to the show. You go to the show. They call only their friends. Yo, on stage, come on. Yo, come on. That's what they doing.
Bring your friends on to start the show to get you off the ground, which is what he did. And then now that you're a big podcast, you get to pull in. But it's what was it? He's had Amber Rose on there twice. He's made up.
Why not?
I agree, but at the same time, people are commenting and it's like, that ain't old school hip hop. Why? Why is
Like
Amber
Kanye,
Rose?
Kanye ain't old school hip hop. So hey,
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I
I mean,
think,
if he wants to do, he can go down the list. Drea Michelle
yeah,
and keep on going. You
yeah, I
know,
guess so. I guess it's a thing where we, if I call him on being not going too new, you can say that he's just been always been pulling the people that he knows. He just doesn't have
or things that he and EFN, FN, I don't know.
EFN. Don't call him don't call him the drink, the effing vodka. Don't do that. That's all the rappers come on there like he's a nobody. Yeah, effing, yeah, effing, and then once I'm gonna kill these rappers.
So as long as it's not doing anything, as long as those rappers ain't doing anything in 305, they good, right?
Yeah, maybe so. But
Right?
let's close this out. I'm here for hip hop culture, and we're too negative, we're too critical. We're still going to kids in us where we say music is played out, and that's how we lost a lot of classic artists. We can find up our reasons why we don't listen to these guys anymore, but we'll celebrate one person, as in Rakim. We have many talents that have been in here, who written and not written, perform songs, great performers, hip hop artists that truly need their flowers. So let's get out there and support them, and not just say who's hot, who's not, why I didn't like this guy anymore. All that stuff as a kid is over. We have all these old school artists that we need to support. The LLs out there, signing them up for what's it? I think this was get some Rock the Bells things so they can have a piece up. So that's it. Before Mars goes to sleep on me again, we're closing it out. Close it out, sir.
Spin rack.
Out.